let's review what happened this past week, starting with Adam and the World of Football Scoreboard.
That's right. We're going to start things off with Thursday Night Football, which saw Sam Darnold and the Carolina Panthers defeat the Houston Texans in Houston 24-9. Carolina becoming 3-0 to start a season for the first time since
2005.
No, 2015, and that very year they went to the Super Bowl. Ooh. So could Super Bowls be in Carolina's future?
Who knows?
But I'm liking seeing the Panthers be good, especially for Sam Darnold. I feel very happy for that kid after a few seasons with the Jets which weren't too good.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt bad for the guy. That they kind of ate him up and spit him back out. And yeah. I'm glad to see. I like seeing quarterbacks, bounce back from a bad situation like Tannehill did in Tennessee. And now we got Sam Darnold here and Carolina. But we're going to jump and talk about Ryan Tannehill next. That's why I fumbled over my words.
Oh, okay.
But anything from you on that game?
No.
All right, well then we move on. The Tennessee Titans, with Ryan Tannehill at the helm, defeated the Indianapolis Colts 25-16. Running back Derrick Henry has 353 rushing yards this season, which is tied for the most through the first 3 weeks in team history. And they've had a couple of good running backs there in Tennessee. Yeah. Eddie George and then, who was it, Chris Henry several years back? I want to say that was his name. They've had a couple of guys go through Tennessee.
Eddie George is the first one that comes to my mind.
There's another one a few years after Eddie George. Chris Johnson maybe? But yeah, they've had some really good running backs there in Tennessee. A couple of them, I think, have done the 2,000-yard thing. So good for them. Good for Derrick Henry, the rushing king right now. So we move on to New York, where the Atlanta Falcons defeated the Giants 17-14. Atlanta's kicker, I forget how to pronounce his first name, but Mr. Koo had the game-winning 40-yard field goal as time expired.
Yeah, this was the game where they retired Eli Manning's number 10 at halftime also.
And they had a lot of fans booing the ownership there at MetLife Stadium.
Seems to be a trend in the NFL.
Oh, boy. Trust me, we're going to get into it. Maybe not exactly in the scoreboard segment, but we're going to get into it. Trust me. We got a lot to talk about. Moving on, how do the Chiefs have a lot to talk about? Because they fell to the Los Angeles Chargers at home 30-24. Kansas City has lost 2 straight games for the first time since
2005.
Weeks 5 and 6 of 2019. So
that never happens in 2005.
No.
But I keep trying.
You keep trying, and you are wrong every time.
Yeah.
But any thoughts from that? The Chargers, Justin Herbert looked fantastic against the Chiefs.
Yeah, this was I didn't see a whole lot of this game, but from what I did see, it was pretty close all game long, and it just, it's like the second week in a row that it was an extremely close game that just didn't go Kansas City's way.
Just couldn't pull it out there at the end. Patrick had the ball at the end of the game too, and they just couldn't.
It's what you want.
Yeah, it's what you want, and and we'll talk about some other games where you give guys enough time, they're going to pull it out at the end. And Patrick's one of those guys usually, so a little surprised that they weren't able to pull it out.
Well, it's early in the season. Yeah.
It is early, and congratulations to the Chargers. You can't knock them for what they did. So
yeah, that was their first game in their new stadium, I think, wasn't it?
No, it was in Kansas City.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, first game. SoFi's been open for a year now. So
well, I'm just saying with fans.
Even then, I think they had a home game. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, but also of note, Andy Reid went to the hospital after this game.
Yeah, I never heard anything since
As far as I know, he's okay. They didn't think it was, from what I understood, they didn't think it was too bad. They were just being overly precautious. So, I mean, obviously well wishes and, best to Andy Reid. We don't want to see anything happen to him. One of the best coaches we got in the league. So,
yep.
All right, moving on. The Cincinnati Bengals shocked the Pittsburgh Steelers 24-10 in Pittsburgh. Cincinnati, it's their first road win in Pittsburgh since
2005.
Week 8 of 2015. Man, you're really bad at guessing.
Yes, I am. I didn't see this one coming.
No, I didn't
Cincinnati beating Steelers?
I mean, Cincinnati's got a nice young team. We thought the Steelers' defense would be a lot better than what they've shown the last few weeks. And is Ben Roethlisberger finally on the decline? It's hard to say, but
who knows?
I mean, good for those Bengals. Good for a young team to get a nice win like that against a division rival.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, the Cleveland Browns just pretty much got to have their way with the Chicago Bears, 26-6. Chicago had 1 net passing yard during the game.
No.
1 net passing yard, yes.
And that was Justin
Fields. Yep,
first start?
His first start, yeah. He lost a lot of yards on the 9 sacks that the Browns were able to get on him that day.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and not very pretty for
I guess
if
not.
you're a Bears fan.
Yeah.
Yep, we got that breaking NFL news, which we'll talk, I guess, a little bit later.
You throw these rookies in there, and man, it just,
hey, some get it right away, some don't.
Works, and sometimes it
I think it's just a matter of a young rookie quarterback who will probably be fine coming up against a really good Cleveland Browns defense.
Yeah. Well, he was in there because of an injury to Andy Dalton.
True, but even then, I mean, he played a little bit last week.
But it's not like the team decided, okay, he's ready to be our starter. No, this wasn't the case. He had to fill in for an injured starter.
But even then, to only get 1 net passing yard, I mean, that's when's the last time you've seen that happen in the NFL?
That's probably a record somewhere.
Maybe
the lowest amount of passing yards for starting quarterback.
Yeah. Moving on, the New Orleans Saints defeated the New England Patriots 28-13 in Foxborough. For New Orleans, this is their first win in New England since
2015.
1995. Man, you can't catch a break.
No, I can't.
Next game, the Arizona Cardinals defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars 31-19. For Arizona, this is their first 3-0 start since...
Oh, God. 1974.
You're going to hate this. It's 2015. They went to the conference championship that year. But, man, from this game... the 68-yard missed field goal by Matt Prater, returned by another former Detroit Lion, Jamal Agnew, 109 yards, tying the longest play ever in NFL history.
That was Jamal Agnew?
That was Jamal Agnew,
I did not
former
realize
Detroit
that.
Lion. Yep.
Oh,
So former Lion kicker had his missed kick returned by another former Detroit Lion, all the way to the house, 109 yards. At the end of the first half. So. Good for both of them.
Two more players that got away from Detroit and did well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess
doing
not
well.
so good because Prater missed the field goal.
Right, but 68 yards, I mean, you don't expect to make that. And it was...
No, you don't expect to make that. And we're going to talk about the one...
Yeah,
there's another kick. Don't get me fired up just yet. We're almost there. Moving on, the Buffalo Bills had their way with the Washington football team 43-21. Josh Allen becomes the first player in Buffalo Bills history with 4 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and a rushing touchdown in a game. Wow, this kid, Josh Allen, he was the one quarterback of that draft class I had no hope or expectations for. And this kid has become the second coming of Jim Kelly out there in Buffalo. Good for him. I'm really digging seeing the Bills be really good.
Well, at least he's living up to the big contract he got. So,
Yeah.
and normally, as soon as somebody gets a big contract, whether you're a running back or a wide receiver or quarterback, the minute you get that big quarterback, you stink.
Oh, you mean that big money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
good
would-
for him. Good for him.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
Good for the Bills.
He got that money, and is he playing real well. He one of the MVP candidates. I'm way too early in the season to talk about that, but this kid, if he keeps this up, I mean, Josh Allen is a force to be reckoned with. Another force to be reckoned with is just how bad the Jets are apparently, because they fell to the Broncos 26 to donut.
That wasn't a loss. That was a shutout. I mean,
Yeah, it was a shutout. Yeah, I feel bad for Jets fans, and I'm a Lions fan saying that.
yeah.
But I mean, shoot, I won't. They have a new head coach, rookie quarterback.
Right.
There's obviously still trying to figure things out there, and Denver just had their way with them.
This is the quarterback's third game. What's his name?
Put me on the spot. I can picture him right now from
think of his name.
BYU.
But I mean, this is his third game, and he's getting worse in 3 games. I mean, any rookie quarterback is gonna struggle, but it just seems like in 3 games he's gotten progressively worse. I mean, not much worse you can get than being shut out by your opponent. So we'll see how he does in the coming weeks. I hope they don't, pull him out too soon. Let him stay in there and take his lumps and learn from it and get better.
Zach Wilson, by the way.
Zach Wilson.
I can't believe I was blanking on it too,
Yeah.
but I had to pull it up here on the app. But for the Jets, unfortunately, guys, you've lost 12 straight games in September, which is the longest active streak in the NFL. So, ouch.
Yeah.
The hits just keep on coming if you're the Jets.
Yeah.
But
Maybe they need to go back to those white helmets and white uniforms.
Maybe they do. I miss those white helmets.
The Joe Namath era uniform.
Maybe next year they can finally start using those as an alternate because the new helmet rule.
Yeah,
God, I can't wait for the new helmet rule. All right, moving on. The Miami Dolphins and the wow, I did it. I said I wasn't going to do it at all this season.
Yeah.
I did it. Dang it.
There you go.
And the Las Vegas Raiders got into a shootout. This game went to overtime. For a while, the Dolphins were leading there. Then Las Vegas came back. Then these two teams kind of were neck to neck, went to overtime, and Las Vegas finally got the win with a field goal to win in overtime, 31-28. Las Vegas, it's their first 3-0 start since
2015.
2002, when they lost in Super Bowl 37 to the Buccaneers. So, yeah.
Do we have to have instead of a swear jar, do we need to have an Oakland Raiders jar? Every time you say Oakland Raiders instead of Las Vegas.
Well, since I've done it once, if I do it again, we'll start the jar.
Buck in the jar.
Yeah. Moving on.
Did you mention this was their second overtime game?
No, I didn't. But yeah, this was their second overtime
the first
game
week
this season.
and the third week they had overtime games and won both.
Yeah, they won both and 3-0 on the season. So good for the Raiders. And I was getting worried for John Gruden. I mean, I don't hate him or love him one way or the other, but I was kind of like, man, you feel bad for this guy. Comes back into coaching after having a really cushy gig at ESPN for a few years.
10 years almost.
Yeah, just to get back into coaching, and you're kind of like, I hope he has success, but I don't know how this is going to go. Gets that 10-year contract, $100 million or whatever it was, and hasn't looked great the last couple of years. But all of a sudden, maybe things are finally clicking.
Yep.
And so give John Gruden credit.
Yep.
And that team. I mean, Derek Carr, obviously too. Give Derek Carr a lot of love. This dude. We thought Matt Stafford was underappreciated. Derek Carr might be the most underappreciated quarterback in the NFL. Moving on, Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings defeated the Seattle Seahawks 30-17. But how about this on the other side of the ball? Russell Wilson, it's his first career loss versus Minnesota. He was 7-0, including the playoffs.
Wow. Yeah.
So
I did not see this one coming either.
I mean, you'll see our pick video in a couple of days, but I called that. I
Did
called
you?
Minnesota getting that
Okay.
win, everybody. This is my one claim to fame this week.
I wasn't I wasn't giving Minnesota much hope in this one. I thought it was going to be all Seattle, but wow, that was a shock.
Yep. Moving on. How about this? The Los Angeles Rams defeated Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, Super Bowl champions, in SoFi Stadium, 34-24.
Yeah, I watched that whole game.
Yeah, for Tampa Bay, this is their first loss since.
Oh gosh.
Don't worry, you don't have to go back that far.
2019.
Week 12 of 2020.
Oh.
Like I said, you didn't have to go back that far.
Yeah.
What'd you do? Think they
Only
went
off on
undefeated
one game.
last season? But no, I got to see bits and pieces of this game driving home from the game I was at. And how about Matt Stafford? Stafford pretty much,
4
from what
touchdowns.
I saw, carved up that Tampa Bay defense. Pretty much had his way with them. I mean, Tom Brady still looked decent, too. I mean, he threw 430 yards, ran for a touchdown, threw another touchdown. So, I mean, Brady was fine. It was just, as a total team effort, Los Angeles just had Tampa's number.
They put a lot of pressure on Brady. I mean, he was under pressure most of the game from what I saw. And I think that was the big difference, was the pressure that they were able to get on him. They kind of got him out of his comfort zone, and Stafford was just sitting back there. Did he get sacked in that game? I don't remember.
I'm sure. I think I saw one sack.
But
at
I mean,
least.
he threw 4 touchdowns and over 300 yards. So yeah, he had a great day.
Yeah. So is LA the best team in the league? I think a lot of people have them as their
I'm
number
kinda
one
leaning
team
that
right
way
now.
right now.
I think you beat the Super Bowl champs.
But again, it's a long
it's a long season. It's only week 3. So much can happen.
Yep.
I mean, we know Stafford's injury history. I'm not saying he would be out for like the whole season. We've seen him play with a broken back, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
So who knows? Anything can happen in the NFL.
These two will meet again before this.
I hope these two teams meet again. Like, did you see Tom Brady on the sideline after that game? Just head hanging low. Oh boy, it's that vintage look where you're like, whoever Brady plays next is gonna get thumped. And they're playing the Patriots next week.
Oh, that's right.
So, sorry, Patriots fans.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna go pretty bad. But also, I mean, you see him do that. So the next time these two teams face off, I wouldn't be surprised if Brady, really was gunslinging. 430 yards. Try 600 yards next game.
We will see. We'll see.
Then how about this great Sunday night game this turned out to be? The Green Bay Packers just edged out the San Francisco 49ers 30-28 on another last-second field goal.
Yeah, I watched some of this game. I think I fell asleep.
I watched the beginning of this game before I had to take off, but Green Bay looked like they had everything in control. I was shocked to see that it took them a game-winning field goal to, seal this up. But the 49ers were able to claw back and make it a game, and even at times put Green Bay back on their heels. So
yeah, they were up. I believe it was 17-0 at one point, and they were just having their way in that game.
Yeah, Mason Crosby. It was a 51-yard field goal to win that game as time expired. So shoot.
There's been a lot of that going on this week.
Kickers are very important. I will not stand for people saying kickers don't matter.
Yeah,
they matter.
Yeah, this season they do. That's for sure.
And then on Monday Night Football, there was a blowout of a game. I'm going to call it a blowout, 20 points. The Cowboys pretty much stomped all over the Philadelphia Eagles, 41-21. Dallas is 41 points in each of their last two games against, or had 41 points in each of their last two games against Philadelphia on Monday night.
Wow.
So if you're Philly, you don't want to see Dallas on the Monday night schedule anymore. But from what I saw, I was really hoping that Jalen Hurts would have a nice big coming out party. The young quarterback for the Eagles. It started off a little rough. I think eventually he found his rhythm. But, when Dallas is up a few scores, who knows how light that defense is playing on him.
Yeah, the Dallas running game was really clicking.
Oh, yeah. Between Zeke finally kind of looking like he caught his stride, and then Pollard, the other running back for Dallas, just looking like he had his way. That Dallas offensive line is pretty good. And I thought Dak looked great. Might have been a touchdown he should have had that didn't get called a touchdown. So, hey, what can you do? You still get the win. But, So that's it for our regular set of scores from the scoreboard.